All right, I can't believe it. You made it to the second last video. Congratulations. So, final example. Z plus 8 over Z plus 2. Whatever I get here has to equal Z divided by 2. So lots of Z's. We need to try and solve this. But based on the first examples, our methods are not going to change. I'm going to try and take this denominator, move it over here so I don't have a fraction. Same thing, I'm going to take this 2, move it over to this side, and by doing that, I'll get rid of this equation with fractions, and it'll become an equation like we've kind of seen a bit more. So first thing, let's take this. So Z divided by 2, the opposite of dividing by 2 is I'm now going to multiply by 2. So I end up with 2 being multiplied by Z plus 8. And at the same time, I can take this over here, the opposite of dividing by Z plus 2. If I move this over here, it's going to be Z is still here. Now the opposite of dividing by Z plus 2 is I have to multiply by Z plus 2. So just to reiterate, I don't really like working with fractions, so that's why I'm going to move my denominator here over here. The opposite of dividing is I can now multiply. And same thing, I don't want a denominator over here. I want to get rid of that so I don't have a fraction. The opposite of dividing by Z plus 2 is I now multiply by Z plus 2. And now, this isn't an easy equation, but it's nicer because I'm not working with these fractions. So now I'm going to get rid of these brackets. I'm going to expand. I'm going to distribute. The number on the outside gets multiplied by the terms inside. So 2 times Z gives me 2Z. 2 times a positive 8. Both these numbers are positive, so my answer is still going to be plus. And 2 times 8 is 16. And then over on this side, same thing. I'm going to distribute the Z to get rid of those brackets. So Z times Z gives me Z squared, or Z to the power of 2. And then a positive Z times a positive 2. So I'm still going to be adding. That gives me plus Z times 2 gives me 2 Z's. And now we can start kind of trying to solve this equation. First thing, I have a Z squared and a 2Z. These are not like terms. This Z is squared. This is just a Z, so I can't. I'm not allowed to put these together. But if I look here, I have a 2Z. Over here, I have a Z. These are like terms. So I'm going to move, let's take this 2Z, let's move it to this side of the equation so we can at least get those Z's together. So the opposite of adding 2Z, so here's my 2Z still. When I move this over, the opposite of adding is I subtract 2Z. I still have plus 16 equals Z to the power of 2. Now if I have 2 Z's and I take away both those Z's, that means I've got nothing left. These pretty much cancel each other out. So 2 Z's minus 2 Z's, nothing left there. So now I have 16 equals Z squared. Now, this final step, we've talked about it a bit. It's called the square root. But without even knowing that, you can still solve this. You can say to yourself, well, Z times Z equals 16. What number has to go here so that Z times itself equals 16? And with, again, a little bit of thinking, reasoning, you can figure out, 4 equals Z, because 4 to the power of 2, 4 times 4 would give me 16. So my claim now is that Z equals 4, because 4 times 4 would end up equaling 16. And spoiler alert, sorry to spoil this, but next video we are going to plug in 4 to this equation and confirm that this side, this fraction, will end up equaling the same thing as this fraction over here. So again, before you watch the next video, plug Z into these equations and try and see, was Mr. Wolf correct? Does Z actually equal 4?